Two people, same company, same salary, same year they were hired. 4 years later, one of them has $11,400 sitting in savings. The other has $1,200. Nobody got a raise the other didn't get. Nobody inherited money. Nobody picked better stocks. The entire gap, all $10,200 of it, came down to one decision made in a single afternoon in the first month of their job. And it's not the decision you think it is. Stay until the end because the number that caused this gap is almost insulting in how small it is. Okay, let's go back to month 1. Maria Lindquist and Tom O'Coffer were hired the same week at the same logistics company in Ohio for the same role, operations coordinator, $54,000 a year. Same desk row, same health insurance plan, same 401k match capped at 4%. If you'd looked at their paychecks side by side for the next 4 years, you would not have found a single month where one of them earned more than the other. But 4 years in, their bank accounts told two completely different stories. Tom had tried to save money more than once. He'd open his banking app on a Sunday night, look at his balance, and decide, this month, I'm serious. He'd commit to putting away $400, sometimes $500. He'd feel good about it for maybe 3 weeks. Then his car needed brakes, or a coworker's birthday dinner came up. Or it was just a long week and he ordered delivery 4 nights in a row. By the 4th week, the $400 he promised himself was gone, spent on things he couldn't even fully remember. He'd feel a specific kind of guilt. Not dramatic, just quiet. And the next month he wouldn't even try. This happened in some form at least 6 times over 4 years. If that sounds familiar, that's not an accident. Keep watching because the fix for it is smaller than you'd guess. Maria did something different, and here's the part that surprises people every time I tell the story. She didn't try harder than Tom. She didn't have more willpower. She actually tried less in the way most people would define trying. In her first month, she didn't set a savings goal of $45. She set it at $45. Stop and actually sit with that number for a second, because this is where most advice videos move too fast. $45 a month on a $54,000 salary is exactly 1% of her take-home pay. Not 10%, not 20%, which is the number you've probably heard from every budgeting rule that gets repeated online. 1%. Here's why that number is almost insultingly small on purpose. Nobody restructures their life around $45. You don't cancel a subscription for it. You don't meal prep instead of eating out for it. You don't feel a single moment of deprivation because $45 disappears into a normal month the same way a parking fee or a coffee run does. It's small enough to be invisible. And invisible is the entire point, because the reason most people fail at saving money isn't laziness. It's that they declare war on their spending all at once. Groceries, subscriptions, takeout, shopping, all cut on the same Monday in the same burst of motivation. For about 3 weeks, it works, powered by willpower alone. Willpower is a terrible long-term fuel source. It runs out. And the moment it runs out, usually around week 3 or 4, the entire system collapses at once because there was no slack built into it anywhere. Maria's $45 had zero chance of triggering that collapse because it was never big enough to fight against in the first place. She set up one automatic transfer the day her paycheck landed, before she even saw the full number hit her account. $45 gone before she could spend it, before she could even think about it. Then she did something Tom never did. She put a single reminder on her calendar. 90 days from now, raise it by 1 percentage point. That's it. That was the entire plan. Not save more, not get serious about money. 1 point, 90 days, repeat. This is where the story stops being about willpower and starts being about a method that has a name, and it didn't come from personal finance at all. It came from a Japanese manufacturing philosophy called Kaizen, and Toyota is the company most associated with making it famous. Toyota never tried to redesign their entire factory floor in one dramatic overhaul. Instead, they made small, continuous, almost boring adjustments to one process at a time, repeated relentlessly for years. Each individual change looked too small to matter. Stacked over a decade, those small changes became one of the most studied manufacturing systems in the world. Maria's paycheck was her production line. 1% was her adjustment. Here's exactly how it played out month by month. And there's a twist coming in this math that most people don't see until it's already happened to them. Month 1. 1% of $54,000, about $45 a month, goes into savings automatically. Month 4, she raises it to 2%. Now it's roughly $90 a month, but she's already 4 months into the system, so it doesn't feel like a jump. It feels like a continuation. Month 7, 3%, around $135 a month. Month 10, 4%. By her second year, she was sitting at 9% of her income going straight into savings, completely automated, and she could not point to a single month where she felt like she was sacrificing anything. Now here's the twist. 11 months into the system, her car's transmission failed. The repair cost $1,800, more than 1/3 of everything she'd saved up to that point. Most people in that exact moment would have stopped the automation entirely. "I'll restart this when things calm down" is one of the most common sentences in personal finance, and it's almost always a permanent goodbye disguised as a pause. Maria didn't pause it. She paid the $1,800 out of savings, kept the automatic transfer running at the same percentage, and let the next 90-day reminder happen on schedule, exactly as planned. By the end of year 4, factoring in the gradual increases and that one $1,800 hit, Maria had moved roughly $11,400 into savings. Tom, in that same 4 years, had accumulated $1,200, almost entirely from a single tax refund he forgot to spend. That's the $10,200 gap. It was never about who was better at managing money in their head. It was about who built a system small enough to survive contact with real life. Here's a number worth knowing. When researchers study employer-sponsored savings plans and default contribution rates, a consistent pattern shows up. People who are auto-enrolled at a low starting percentage and gradually escalated almost never opt out. People who are asked to commit to a high percentage immediately have dramatically higher dropout rates within the first 90 days. The brain treats a sudden, large cut to spending as a loss. Loss aversion, one of the most well-documented patterns in behavioral economics, means people feel the pain of losing money roughly twice as intensely as the pleasure of gaining the same amount. When Tom tried to cut $400 overnight, his brain registered it as $400 of loss every single month, and eventually the discomfort won. There's a third coworker worth mentioning here, because she shows the failure mode from the opposite direction. Janelle Brooks sat 2 desks down from Maria and Tom, and she actually tried the 20% approach, aggressively on purpose. She cut her grocery budget in half, canceled 3 subscriptions in one sitting, and committed to 0 takeout for a full month. For 17 days, it worked. On day 18, a friend's going-away dinner came up, and Janelle told herself one dinner wouldn't matter. It didn't, on its own, but the all-or-nothing frame she'd built meant that one exception felt like proof the entire system was broken, and by day 25, she'd quietly stopped tracking anything at all. Janelle isn't undisciplined. She's evidence that the size of the first step matters more than the size of the person taking it. Here's where this stops being someone else's story. Step 1. Find your current number. Take last month's total income, multiply by 0.01. That's your starting deposit, not a goal, a deposit. Step 2, automate it. Not try to save it manually. Set an automatic transfer for the day after payday. If you have to make the decision every month, you will eventually decide not to. Step 3, set a calendar reminder for 90 days from today. Not to save more, just to raise the percentage by 1 point. That's the entire instruction. Step 4, track it. This is the one step people skip, and it's the one step that makes the difference between Janelle and Maria, between Tom and the version of himself that actually followed through. Watching the number move is what keeps the system alive past month 3, which is exactly where every other attempt quietly dies. Tom still describes himself as bad with money. He brings it up unprompted, almost like an apology. He isn't bad with money, he just kept trying to install a habit at full size instead of starting at a number too small to fail. Maria never thought of herself as disciplined. She'll tell you, if you ask, that she just automated something small enough to forget about and then nudged it up every few months without really noticing. The gap between Tom and Maria was never about discipline, it was about scale. Whatever your income is right now, you already know 1% of it. That number is small enough that you won't miss it, and small enough that you have no excuse not to start this month.